Halfway home. A report to the people of Atlanta by the Citizens Advisory Committee for Urban Renewal, with the assistance of the Planning Department of the City of Atlanta. At the present time, Atlanta's Negro citizens constitute slightly more than 1/3 of our population, and yet these people occupy only 1/6 of our residential land. This crowding causes blighted slum conditions that are everyone's concern. This special map of Atlanta was prepared by the city's planning department. Its purpose is to show land use, what areas are used for what purpose. This is the downtown area, 5 Points. Up here is Buckhead. This is the West End. All blank or white areas on the map show vacant land. To date, our Negro communities have only 900 acres in which to grow. Open land has already been set aside for future Negro housing. And yet the Metropolitan Planning Commission states that we need a minimum of 3,200 acres in the next 5 years. We have this much set aside, 900 acres. We need this much, or 3,200 acres, just to keep pace with the problem. An old shoe in a cluttered backyard. Crowded frame buildings housing far more people than they were designed for. These are creeping slums, and they are spreading into almost every section of our city. As assessed land values drop, so do the tax dollars that come into the city. About 50% of the health and welfare dollars spent by the average American city goes into areas such as this. And yet the slums produce less than 5% of the tax revenue. It costs us all money to allow these blighted areas to continue. Too many people living in too little space is the primary cause of a slum. It is not true, as we shall see later, that a low-income neighborhood is necessarily a slum. High population density and low income produce the slum neighborhood. Rents in buildings such as these are not really low. No utilities, often not even running water. And yet rentals frequently begin at $40 a month. These dwellings deteriorate year after year. Low taxes and little or no maintenance mean high profits. For example, one Atlanta slum owner paid only $127 in taxes on a building which netted him $13,000 last year. This area is what is called a transition neighborhood by city planners, one which until only recently had total white occupancy. About 5 years ago, housing quality dropped to the point where extremely low-income Negro families could afford to live here. But the deterioration that created this slum actually began 20 or 30 years ago, when those living here decided it was too great an expense or too much trouble to fix up, clean up, or paint up. Land values and rentals continue to go down. Tax revenue is less over the years. This is a neighborhood in real trouble. The average low-income level of the Negro explains why so many of these blighted areas are occupied by him. But there has been progress. The general increase in Atlanta incomes, particularly by Negro families, has made the acquisition of better housing possible. The increase in Negro earnings over the past 10 years has resulted in neighborhoods like this development. Section 221 of the National Housing Act encourages private enterprise to provide economical FHA-insured housing for families displaced by expressway construction, urban renewal, and the like. These homes were built under that section of the Housing Act. The Negro families here own their own homes. Like most homeowners, they take great pride in the appearance of both their homes and the neighborhood. Sometimes these newer Negro and white communities are separated by expressways. Often only a single street divides white and Negro housing. When both neighborhoods are well kept, the property values of either should not change. Here is another type of Negro housing. These are private rental units, proof that attractive, adequate housing can be built by private capital. This is a public housing development which houses 990 families for an average monthly rental of only $30. A school, playground, community house, and a church are a part of this complete Negro community. Social and medical services are provided more efficiently. Extra police and fire protection are not needed here. Public housing does not compete with private enterprise, which to date has not supplied the low-income market with safe sanitary housing. This development pays about $28 per family unit to the city in lieu of taxes. This land is productive in that it pays into the city treasury. While we have made some progress in solving our housing problems, the overall situation is complicated by the tremendous population increase in Atlanta. This chart shows how we have grown. Our Negro population alone has increased from 31 to 37%. And so the question of adequate housing comes up another way. This building is less than 10 years old, and already it is a slum. The population increase, the shortage of open land, and inadequate zoning requirements made it profitable to put up buildings on small lots to house large numbers of people. Constant surveillance and change of our zoning laws are necessary so that it will be no longer possible to put up such a building in Atlanta. But these people are living in a slum, one literally created by the lack of tight zoning controls. We solve nothing with buildings like this 10-year-old apartment. We only create problems for the future. On the other hand, this neighborhood is about 30 years old, has been occupied by Negroes for more than 6 years. Shaded streets, well-tended lawns, and gardens mark this as a residential community of the first order. As soon as the Negro finds it financially possible, he usually moves into homes of the latest design. But it has only been in the past few years that private home mortgage companies have discovered that the Negro is a good credit risk, and in about the same percentages as the whites. The availability of money to build, to fix up, has been a big factor in erecting Negro neighborhoods of this caliber. Private financing with such governmental assistance as FHA and VA, along with community support, can provide the money to build all types of Negro housing. Homes such as this in a well-to-do Negro community here in Atlanta are the ultimate proof that, given the opportunity, Negro housing can be a credit to the city. This modern elevator apartment, for example, was privately financed, but we must make the open land available. This film is a statement of a problem, and we must live with the obvious solution. Open land for development and rehabilitation of existing neighborhoods are the answer. We must begin new programs now. Only half the job has been completed. We're only halfway home.